How you doing everyone? I'm Jake and this is Rave Reminiscence, the channel where we share our passion for hardcore from around 91 to 95. You've tuned into an episode that I've been putting off for quite a while now because it means so much to me. I'm going to share some treasured memories with you here. I have some killer tunes to mix for you and I have some new video footage which I think you're going to enjoy. In this episode I'm doing my humblest best to pay loving tribute to the greatest nightclub in history, the House on the Hill, STERNS. So welcome friends, whether you've been with me from the start or joined along the way. This is a big episode for me and it's been a lovely experience putting it together. I don't know how many of you out there of course watching will have visited STERNS back in the day. I'm sure you've heard about it even if you didn't. There's an amazing documentary on YouTube all about Mensa and the club. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend it and I'll link it down in the description. There's a reason why this nightclub has left such a mark on the rave world, particularly on those who went there. It was very, very special. Today, STERNS is a little bit calmer. It's a lovely hotel, restaurant and tea room. My good lady took me there for my birthday last year, which was a mad experience. It's probably the best birthday treat I've ever had. It was totally unexpected. There's very little sign of what this house used to be now, but give them their fair dues. The hotel has given some decent recognition to the old nightclub in a leaflet you can find in the lobby area. It has a load of info on the history of the house, and a substantial section on one side is all about this short chapter as the great rave venue. Anyway, if you get a chance, I really recommend you giving the hotel, the restaurant or the tea room a visit. So, a few months later, I decided to return to STERNS with the sole purpose of exploring, reminiscing and taking some footage for this video. I've put together a special 91 to 93 mix set to accompany this episode with 14 tracks that really remind me of this club and that part of my life. Of course, there's so many to choose from, but I've picked about an hour's worth of the first tunes that jumped into my mind when I thought about STERNS. Usual drill, I'll share these tunes with you throughout the video and in a short while after this episode is released, I'll upload the full mix for you to enjoy. So let's get to it. So as with most rave nights out, the whole experience started way before you arrived at STERNS. Whoever was driving, in our case, usually Bry in his standard issue 90s Peugeot 205, or Matt who I think at the time had an Austin Allegro, they'd do the rounds and pick us all up. As a passenger, you had the privilege of getting semi-wrecked on the journey. It was just always this balance of wanting to have a kick-ass time on the way there and wanting to look with it enough to get past the bouncers at the door. Both cars were fully kitted out with stereo systems powerful enough for a small club, so the old mixtapes were blasting the whole way there. We'd hit the A24, which was this relentless combination of open dual carriageways, countless roundabouts and some pretty windy country sections, all of which I should think were pretty challenging on the way home. I actually had a crazy near miss on the way down there to record this footage as it goes. Someone had accidentally turned onto this one-way section coming the wrong way. And me and this car that was right alongside me approached this blind bend and this other car just appeared out of nowhere heading straight at us. So having only just avoided a head-on collision, and I mean only just, me and this bloke on the other car had this moment where we pulled up alongside each other and just looked at each other in like disbelief. So if by the most unlikely chance you're that bloke and you're watching this, hello mate. We were proper lucky that day, you know it. So the first tune I've chosen to open up this set is a real old school beauty. The lyrics at the start say it all, dancing together. This tune is Bass Construction, Dance with Power. As you make the final approach towards STERNS, you can still see the sign that let you know you were there. Back in the day, the sign looked like this. but it's still a proper flashback moment when you turn into the lane that leads up to the house. Driving past the old house now, I could imagine the crowds of people already queuing there on the left as you headed up towards the car park. STERNS was very popular and the queue would often go right round the corner as far as you could see. Interdance at its peak boasted a huge number of members from all across the country. The membership cards changed over the years and have now become quite collectible. Although the queue was a very friendly, sociable place to be, it was now that it would quickly reveal itself whether you timed the peak of your excitement well or not, because it could take quite a long time to get in. Later on I seem to remember they put across like a row of gazebos to the left here to search people on the way in. That's my memory anyway. So the second tune I've chosen for this set is from the same year and it's another classic that brings it all back to me. This tune is the Hypnotist, The House Is Mine. Nice simple mix for this, just going to blend it in right towards the end. As you entered through the front door, the energy hit you immediately. You could hear the rumble of the bass as you paid your entrance fee. And stepping forward, you walked straight into the top floor room. This was the smaller of the two hardcore areas. But the moment you turned that corner, you entered a magical world that none of us knew at the time would be short-lived, but last forever in our hearts. And taking that same route through the front door recently, I stood looking over what is now a bar and restaurant area. I tried to get my bearings straight with my memory, but it's crazy to think what used to be here 30-something years ago. I could hear the music and see the shadows of happy ravers everywhere in my mind. So, time for the next tune. This underground banger reminds me so much of the STERNS vibe. It was on a tape we used to play a lot featuring Simon Bassline Smith. It's Atomic Brain and it's the Atom mix. As the Hypnotist runs out, this tune rolls in beautifully. This tune literally launches me back to the underground and strips 30-something years off of me. STERNS was like an enchanted house, a labyrinth of little areas of people talking, getting their heads together. A chill out area where you'd always find a brand new friend who'd help talk you down and get you back on track. A small cinema with something randomly obscure playing, and some windy little staircases aside from the main ones. I took a walk up the old staircase that led to the garden area and the VIP room that's now a function room, and one that led down to the garage floor which now goes straight into the kitchen. The old entrance to the underground was straight ahead there, but it's now blocked off. Continuing with our mix set, this tune always has and always will scream STERNS to me. The punchy bass in the intro works really well with the atomic track. Timed just right, we chop it over to the legendary sound. It's structural damage, really living. The two main staircases linking the three floors were surrounded at the top with rails behind which people would sit or dance away in their own little worlds. All part of the unique character of the club, they did pose a bit of a challenge now and then if your spatial awareness was temporarily offline. But every time you ascended or descended one of these staircases, you departed and then entered a different world, as each floor had its own vibe and its own character. Right, next tune for the mix. This is a track I always wanted to identify back in the day but couldn't. It's a very unique tune and once again totally oozes STERNS to me. It's called High-Tech Music, or High-Tech Music as it's spelt. Now the timing count is out in the intro of this track, so it takes a little bit of thought to get the mix sweet, but I think we nailed it. Like I said, this tune is so unique. These hollow sounding bongo-y stabs just like punch through the atmosphere. The middle floor was also known as the Garage Club. I'd sometimes wander or stumble there to clear my head. Always felt to me it was like where the old people went, which is quite funny now because what I thought of as old back then was probably only like 30 or 40. The DJ area was half of a VW Beetle and there were wheel hubs and various signs all over the wall. Right by the small dance floor was a bar where the beer heads, as we used to call them back then, used to stand. Now there's two tunes in particular that really bring back my memories of this small part of the house. Whether having a chilled little boogie or just passing through wandering aimlessly. First of these tunes is True Faith featuring Bridget Grace with Final Cut, and it's Take Me Away.
You and me, 'cause that's what it's for. Show me now, what is it we got to be doing? And the music in my house is so soothing. I wanna dance no matter where you see. It's just a party, so now come with me.
And the other tune is the timeless classic Rhythm on the Loose, Break of Dawn. Everywhere you looked in the old house, there were trippy visuals, UV lighting, intentionally confusing props. Well, confusing to me at the time. You could sometimes lose like 10 minutes of your life just staring at something on the wall trying to work out if it was real or not. The creative feel of STERNS was also very much reflected in the flyers, often humorous plays on well-known brands or topics at a time.
I can't hear you! That's right! Here we go! Here we go! Here we go! Come on, come on, come on! Come on, come on, come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on, come on, come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Here we go!
I think it's time to make the floor burn, baby.
So, next tune. I want to catch the whole of the intro of this track because it's all part of the tune's feel for me. So I've literally just run the opening vocals in as the high-tech music track finishes. This track is Spectral, Touch Somebody. A proper gem of a tune. I think the first time I heard this tune was on a Carl Cox tape, again at STERNS. But this point here where it just bursts open in this massive explosion of happy energy. Now when I think of STERNS, the key memory for me is where I spent most of my time, the underground. You entered the underground via a grand staircase. As you walk down them stairs, the bass, the smoke, the lasers hit you. I think it was a 30k sound system down there. I don't know, but it was loud. I can still recall the smell of 100 cigarettes, Vicks, the strobe lights pulsing and the feel of sweat dripping from the ceiling. I find myself a little area by a speaker, smiles everywhere, horns, whistles, the MC echoing over the music, and just lose myself to the whole experience. Now, this tune has a very powerful memory imprinted on my mind. Highly emotional experiences deeply wire into us. Trauma, for example. But the state of mind we were in back then, the love, the excitement, the connection, all of these emotions are set in stone in my heart and in my mind. And all it takes is a tune like this to launch them all straight back. This track still remains one of the finest rave tracks of all time to me. It's Terrorize. It's just a feeling. This tune is the perfect combination of those adrenaline-fueled piano stabs with these frowny sections. I've got the most vivid memory of standing at the bottom of those stairs, watching a mate of mine dancing around in flashes of strobe as this tune played. But this track will always have a really special place in my heart. The way it just smashes back into these happy piano stabs here is awesome. So I had the opportunity of revisiting this special place, to take a walk around in the STERNS Underground. 31 years almost to the day since I last stepped foot in there. It was quite an experience. For a while the STERNS Underground was used as a children's play area and then for weddings. But for a number of years now that magical place has just been a storeroom. As I stood there it hit me how much smaller it looked than I remembered. I think the mirrors on the walls and the stairs added to the sense of size back then. I looked around and it was so weird to think that I was actually standing in a place where all of them memories happened. I could hear echoes of MC Stompy Don in the back of my mind. In front of me was that legendary staircase. Looking up them stairs was a crazy feeling. Like hard to process that what I was looking at was the same set of stairs. Obviously I had to take one more walk down them steps, although it was considerably less dramatic than it was back in the day. The top of the stairs is now blocked off, as I said earlier, so you can't enter it from the inside of the house. And heading down, it was funny to think that even with all the junk in the way, it probably wasn't the most treacherous walk I've had down these steps. So let's hit up the next track in this mix. This tune is STERNS Underground through and through. I first heard this in a set Colin Dale played at STERNS. And I didn't identify it until it featured in one of our early Tune ID episodes. I'm going to throw this in as Terrorize calms down towards the end, ready for a big change up in energy. This tune is Outlander, TZ4, and it's the untitled track on this. I love the way the tune lays back into this kind of hectic little bit here and then pushes straight forward again with this trancey power. Part of the reason why the underground felt smaller than it used to be to me is not just because of the lack of mirrors. It's also because part of it was partitioned off a number of years back. This was done to accommodate some of the hotel's kitchen. Now, if my memory serves me right, which to be fair is a rarity, that far wall is where the DJ box used to be, sat behind the dance floor. What a buzz that must have been, man, to have laid records down for that legendary dance floor back then. The select few DJs who got to play there were so lucky. I can only imagine what it must have felt like to be at the helm of the STERNS Underground. I wanted to up the pace a little bit for the second half of this set, so I'm letting the Outlander tune play right out. And the next tune brings back so many memories for me from this period. It's quality. It's a new decade, get the message. As the Outlander track fades out, we throw this straight in.
Message. You got the message. You got the message. You got the message. You got the message.
I remember clear as anything the first time I heard this tune with these big echoey haunted house type stabs, and then that gritty vocal comes in before it starts punching.
Ready to move.
Another little experience I wanted to revisit was doing the walk up and out to the garden and the tea room. Back in the day, the walk out to the garden was a welcome break from the chaos and the heat of the underground. An opportunity to get your head together if it was all a bit too much. You'd walk upstairs and head out onto this platform that walked down to the garden area. I've only got flashes of memories of this walk, and again it was just really weird to be there. The tea room nowadays is a very picturesque little place with seating inside and out. But in the STERNS era, it was just a window you dealt with. There's a picture here of me boring the living daylights out of the old chap there I used to serve. I sat in the tea room and imagined travelling back and telling my 18-year-old self that 31 years later I'd be sat in a cafe just here having scones, jam and cream, and realised it probably wouldn't actually have been the weirdest conversation I'd had in that tea garden. Okay, it's time to throw in a big smiler, a true classic of a tune. Anyone who was raving in the early 90s has had their hands in the air or their eyes flipped to the back of their heads to this track. This classic is Jonny L, Hurt You So. Bit of chopping about, throw it in.
You got the message, you got the message. You got the message, you got the message.
You always knew this part was coming. The little rewind, and then love. Anyone who used to go to STERNS and rave in the underground will remember coming out at the end of the night through the concrete bunker exit, hitting morning sunlight with ears ringing, being handed a flyer for the next event, looking for your mates who've been having their own adventures all night and may have been missing for hours. I took one more journey up them steps and out into the mansion house grounds, remembering what it felt like to hit the morning air wide-eyed with a sweat-soaked t-shirt, wondering where you could go to keep the party going, wondering if your new friends from the underground and garden are up for a bit more dancing. For this next tune I chose a bit of a monster. The punchy drums and sharp vocals bring a whole new flavour to the set. This tune is Eat Life, Bach To Basics. Actually it's spelt bark, but I'm guessing it's back. We have a nice little run together before switching over. love the rolling drums on this and the constant dashing about like you're on some kind of fairground ride.
Do it. Do it. Do it now.
After wandering around for a while, you'd start to slowly gather your tribe back together. You'd find that all-important mate who was driving, and the 8 other ravers he'd offered a lift home to, was standing at the top of the road recently and looking down. I remembered how electric the atmosphere was as the crowds poured out of the club, many still very much in the mood to party. Now, I've played some classics here already, but here's one you can pop in your pipe and smoke. This tune has one of the most atmospheric and haunting vocal sections at the time. There's some recognisable vocals that would give the tune away to some as it rolled in, but this is Sudden Impact, Bad Influence. Let's do it. So here's the section I was talking about with the haunting vocals. As this broke through from silence and you just had the hovering smoke and that blanket of laser coming down and you just took it in. There'd be a massive gathering in the car park at the end of the night, or as I call it now, the morning. Car stereos forming their own little mini raves of people dancing around them, while the drivers got their heads straight for the frankly unbelievable drive home on the A24. I mentioned all the roundabouts on the A24 at the start, and while making this video I remembered one journey home from an all-nighter, where one of our mates literally drove straight over one of them roundabouts. Now, I'm not talking about a little roundabout either. Like a full-on grass island of a roundabout with trees. Now, I'm not quite sure what the story was there, but I don't think it was about reducing journey time. As you make your way down along that road out, you pass on your right another little car park which was used one night by the police when they did a big raid on the club. I seem to remember they were pulling cars into that area and doing their thing. In general, when we weren't being pulled over, we'd end up at a nearby petrol station where the forecourt would become a temporary club. Or a couple of times I have vague memories of an after party in a car park somewhere in Shoreham. So we're getting close to the end of the set now with just 2 more tracks to play. This tune is an absolute belter of a hardcore track. It's powerful right from the start And there's not a single point in this where you want to mix it out and say goodbye. It's right up there with my favourite rave tracks of all time, and 100% STERNS all the way. The tune is Yolk, Music for the People, and it's the original mix. Now if you're a DJ and you own this, you probably have worked out you've got to set this off halfway through the lyric to hit the beat. Let's go.
Music for the people.
Hold it.
Now when it comes to rush-inducing piano, this is top of the pile, this tune. I love it.
Music for the people.
Before I play out with a truly beautiful final track, I just want to recommend the Mensa documentary once more. Available to watch on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, as I said, I'll link it in the description. I want to say thanks to Steve for the flyers. So thanks to all those who over the years recorded and have uploaded rare footage of the club back in the day. Thanks to the Highdown Hotel staff, Tom and Lauren in particular. You made me so welcome when I visited. I highly recommend you stay at the Highdown Hotel if you get a chance. Rooms are lovely and the food is spot on. I want to send my respects, of course, to the late great Mensa. Without him, none of this would have happened in history. There's a round blue plaque on the door of the underground now paying tribute to him, which is lovely. As I said at the beginning, the full mix for this episode will be coming shortly in the next video, so keep an eye out for that. I think you're going to like it. It's literally supercharged with love. So in closing, STERNS was an incredible club which hit its prime at an incredible time in history. You only have to stand outside to see how magical this place and unique it was as a rave venue. I don't think there ever has been or ever will be anything quite like the Mensa era STERNS. Everyone seems to be there for the same reason, for the love of it and for each other. The unique combination of this incredible house, inside and out, the time in history, the attitude of the day, and the energy of the music made for something so special. And I'm so grateful for having been a part of that small mark in history. Today, if we just call on those memories, we're still joined by that time. And that shows when we reminisce together here. STERNS closed and the dance floors have faded into the shadows. But the unity we all felt back then, the capacity for every stranger to be a friend, whatever their name is, wherever they're from, whatever they're on. That unity is so important today. More important today than it's ever been. I'm going to leave you with Underground Confusion from that wonderful year 1992. Love to you all. I'll see you soon.